Our summit is about building community commitment to effective teaching. We thought it made sense to begin the discussion with hearing from some teachers about what they feel effective teaching is. Introducing our teacher panel this morning is PFT President Nina Esposito. Our teachers are Hannah McCarthy, Saul Strassman, Tony Woods, Ronise Sermons, and Robert Tennant. Moderating our panel is Dr. Judy Johnston, Chairperson of the A+ Schools Board. Let's hear what teachers have to say about effective teaching.
It's now my pleasure to introduce Ms. Nina Esposito, President of the Pittsburgh Federation of Teachers, who's going to introduce the teacher panel. Nina served the Pittsburgh Public School children as a speech and language specialist for 22 years before joining the staff of the Pittsburgh Federation of Teachers. She has been a leader in the Empowering Effective Teachers work in the Pittsburgh Public Schools and has been a tireless advocate for students and teachers. Under Nina's leadership, the Pittsburgh Federation of Teachers has been an instrumental partner in this year's With Great Teaching SchoolWorks program. She and her team have helped to ensure that SchoolWorks has been a vehicle for teachers to elevate their voices. Please welcome Ms. Nina Esposito.
Thank you so very much. Oh, I'm tall. Good morning. You are in for such a treat today, and I don't mean me. I am so, that might be good too, I hope. I am so very, very proud and honored to be the president of the Pittsburgh Federation of Teachers, and today I think you're going to get a little glimpse about why. I am so proud that I have gotten for the past 30 years, even before I was president, to work with some of the most gifted educators that I have seen across our state in all of my work as a teacher and as a union leader. And I'm glad to share that with you today. I have to tell you, my very favorite part of my job is getting into the schools and getting to see the magic that our teachers make every day with their students. It is a joy to hear about and to see the brain sweat, the joy, and the passion that they bring to their jobs every day and how they work together to move our Pittsburgh Public School students forward. I love our school visits. I never leave a school depressed. Whenever I need a lift, I go into our schools because that truly is where the action is and where you really get to see things moving ahead and the hum of the district. So we have a real treat for you today because this is an example of 5 of those magnificent teachers, magnificent educators that we want to share with you today. So I would like to introduce each one of them. The hardest part was making this really brief because each of these gifted educators are not only gifted educators, they go above and beyond the work in their school every day to make things work for their students and to move their students. So I'll take a minute. I'm just going to be brief on each one of them, and I will share them. I want you to know these people are highly respected by their colleagues, by their students, by their school community, and certainly by their union. We are so proud to represent them and to have them as members. First, will they come up one at a time or all together, or how do you want to do it? All together. All right, first I want to introduce Hannah McCarthy, who has been teaching social studies for 20 years in our district. Hannah's passion for her student, you will feel, is evident. It's palpable. Ask her about her students, her lessons, and what a great choice the district made in making her the head of the teaching academy at Langley. I can't think of anyone better to motivate students to want to go into teaching, and if they have half the passion she does, they will do a fabulous job. We're also very proud that she's a member of the PFT Executive Board. Secondly, I have the great pleasure of introducing Ronise Sermons, who I've gotten the pleasure of working with at Allegheny, Columbus, and now Manchester. Ronise has been teaching middle school math for a total of 16 years. She is an exceptional leader who knows her students better than anyone I think I've ever met. She is the go-to person at her school. Everyone goes to her for help and direction. She always seems to have the right answer. I use her myself often. Saul Strassman is a social studies teacher at Alderdice for 7 years now. He is totally immersed in his subject matter. I've never met anyone that knows more about social studies, history. He is wonderful to talk to if you get a chance to talk to him, and about his students. Even now, talking about going above board, above the call of duty, he is directing the high school play, the musical. I invite you all there, April 26th through the 29th. And I know, got to give a plug. Come on. Come on. By the way, at Carrick tonight also, Pippin's going on, but I have to give those plugs for the musicals. The 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. So we thank us all for that also. Next, we have Tony Woods, a teacher at Colfax who, listen to this, he has also taught at Friendship, Fort Pitt, Spring Hill, King, and Morningside. During his 23 years with the district, I must say I would call him the consummate kindergarten teacher. As one administrator said to me, he is able to intertwine college-level material into the kindergarten and still make it fun. And I believe that is true. And finally, last but not least, we have Rob Tennant. I have had the pleasure to work with Rob. He has been at Columbus, Oliver, and Rooney. He has been a teacher for 15 years, and he is wonderful. Right now, he is working on the transition team. He is a leader at Oliver. He is working on the transition team, and in any school he's been in, he is a leader. And he's doing his best right now to make sure the Oliver students move seamlessly into Perry, and we are so happy to have him there. We're happy to have all of you and very proud to represent you. And last but not least, I'd like to introduce our moderator, Dr. Judy Johnson, who has been in education for a number of years, well over 40 years in education. I did that well. Oh, come on, I did that well. She has been in education for a number of years. She was in our district, worked in the Pittsburgh Public Schools, had the good fortune to do so for 23 years, moved on to Pitt, where she continues to work with us, and we're very happy to have her. So you're in for a treat. Enjoy yourself. Thank you.
Good morning. I took some notes about what I wanted to say, but now I don't want to say those things. So instead, I'm going to take this out of here, okay, and try not to make a lot of noise with it. Thank you. Rather, what I'd like to do is talk a little, just very briefly, about teaching. Effective teaching in many ways has been my life's work for all those years that Nina didn't mention. And so let me begin by saying that it is such a wonderful experience to have all of you representing such different walks of life, but sharing one common goal, and that is all kids learning to high levels come into this room. We have just a variety of people here, and I think that speaks to really the work of A+, Carrie Harris and our staff, and the fact that they do this work and get you in the room. Secondly, there's a lot of people who would say teaching isn't rocket science. My friends, effective teaching is rocket science. Over the course probably of my career, and certainly over the last 3 years prior to this, I was working with principals in the district and helping to train principals here in Pittsburgh. And over that time, I probably was in 500 to 600 classrooms. In fact, I've been in some of the classrooms of teachers here. And I can say to you that effective teaching is truly an equity strategy. If you have an effective teacher in each classroom, as Dr. Lane has talked about and others, you will succeed. Students will succeed. And we're so fortunate today to have these 5 teachers with us. And Nina, I just want to say that your introduction was so wonderful because it showed such a depth of knowledge of what these teachers do every day in their classroom. And I think that's very important. So I'm going to sit down now. We have some questions that we're going to ask the teachers. They're all very nervous about this because, you know, they never are good on their feet. Actually, these are some of the most effective teachers in Pittsburgh, and we're very fortunate that Nina and they were able to come with us today. So we're going to ask them about 5 questions. They're going to respond as they see. I'm going to move away from that mic. But the other thing is, I know that you're going to have questions for them. For the sake of time, we're going to ask that those questions not be asked right now, but rather that they will be here until noon. They'll be at tables, discussion groups, and so if you have questions you want to ask then, you can ask them. I think it would only be fair to them to say that we don't want you, for example, if you have a child in Tony Wood's kindergarten or in Hannah's class at Langley, I don't think you should ask them a question about your child in their class. All right.
Later you can.
Yeah, or Ronise at Manchester. Let's try to keep it about teaching and effective teaching. And so without further ado, let's hear from the teachers, because really they are one of the things that research tells us, and I always quote this, but I think it's really important that you know this, that approximately 50 to 70% of student achievement is directly related to teacher expertise. So having said that, you know that those teachers who are working every day in classrooms, effective teachers, are making a difference for kids. So having said that, let's begin. Effective teaching. One of the things we want to know is if I were to visit, here's for the panel, if I were to visit your classroom, what would help me understand your effectiveness as a teacher? What would I see students doing?
So I got nominated to answer first. For me, we talk often in education, we talk about the 3 R's, and it's often reading, writing, arithmetic, but as I was thinking about the question, for me it's routines, relationships, and respect. Right, those are my 3 R's. If you walked into my classroom, you'd see routines already posted for the kids to see. Getting into a routine, if you walk into the classroom, they look on the whiteboard, they look at what they're supposed to start doing. If it's a warm-up, get their notebooks out and start doing their warm-up. If we're picking up from the other day, get your material out from the other day. It says right there, get your stuff out that we were working on yesterday on the board. Then listed underneath that, it'll say the main activity, get into your groups, what we're going to be doing, and so forth. The second is relationships, is building those relationships with the kids. You don't have to be their friend. I'm not their friend. I'm their teacher, and I'm an adult, and they're kids. They're young adults. They're becoming adults. But it's actually having a relationship, knowing what some of their likes and dislikes are, knowing if they're trying to read their body language, or having a bad day. Do you need to talk to them separately? Not in a reprimanding type of way, but just to find out, hey, you okay? Everything cool? And the last is respect. Not just respect for me standing up in front of them every single day, but respect for themselves and for their colleagues. And I use that word every day with them. I don't say, oh, go to the other students. I tell them, you're working with your colleagues here. So those are some of the things you would see in my classroom when you walk in pretty much on every day. There are off days.
And I've been in that classroom, and he's absolutely right. Rob, you want to weigh in on this too?
Okay. Just to expand on what Saul said, that's pretty much how I run my classroom too. I like to say that my kids own my classroom, and I don't mean that in a negative way at all. My kids understand what is acceptable, what is not acceptable in my classroom, and they will reprimand each other. Very rarely do I have to tell a kid, hey, cut that out, or hey, stop that. The other kids in the class will stop them from doing it. And that you can't get that unless you have established, as Saul said, your rituals and routines. Every day when my kids come into the class, they know what they are supposed to do. It's on the board. I don't have to say, get a pencil. I don't have to say, get your notebooks. All of that is already established. And they also know that they are held to a high level when it comes to accountable talk. When we are discussing things in the classroom and a student has something that they said that happens to be wrong, the way that they are supposed to correct that student is respectfully and kindly, and then give their opinion on why. And just to tell you a quick story, I teach Read 180, and Read 180 is a class that helps kids who might not be very proficient readers, helps them to get to be proficient where they need to be as far as a high school reading level goes.